मेरे अज़ीज़ अहमद अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम उमर है और आज मेरे साथ आयशा हैं। अस्सलाम वालेकुम आयशा, हाउ आर यू?
वालेकुम सलाम, आई एम गुड, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सो मच, आपने आज टाइम निकाला हमारे लिए। तो आयशा का थोड़ा सा तारुफ आप लोगों के साथ करा देते हैं। इनको एसयूवीज़ का शौक़ है और हार्ली चलाती हैं। हार्ली जो है वो पाकिस्तान में नहीं चलाती हैं क्योंकि इनको पाकिस्तान में डर लगता है हार्ली चलाते हुए।
डर नहीं लगता, आई एम नॉट कंफर्टेबल ऑन द रोड।
कंफर्टेबल ड्राइविंग इट ऑन द रोड। बाकी क्या उससे कहते हैं, दुबई में होती थी, एसयूवीज़ का शौक़ चढ़ा और अब पाकिस्तान आई तो उन्होंने अपने मियाँ को कहा कि भाई कार नहीं चलेगी मुझसे, तो उन्होंने यहाँ पे ये Isuzu Dmax ले लिया। तो सबसे पहले तो हम शुरू करते हैं विद द क्वेश्चन कि ये एसयूवीज़ का शौक़ कैसे चढ़ा है। व्हाट कार्स डिड यू हैव बिफोर switching to your first SUV, which was a Murano, right?
Yes. So my first car in Dubai was a Murano. That was like the first SUV crossover kind of a car that I had. Before that, I had an Audi. In Karachi, when I hadn't moved, I had a City. So while I've driven sedans, like I just felt that the cars weren't like something that I was associating with as a person.
ठीक है.
And I always felt like, more attracted towards Jeeps and 4x4s. And my ultimate preference was the Jeep Grand Cherokee, which I ended up buying in Dubai.
In Dubai.
Yeah.
ठीक है. और जो आपको उसके साथ एक आपका हार्ली का भी आपका शौक आया है.
बिल्कुल.
हाँ, तो हार्ली में आपका क्या है एंड वो कब लिया, उसकी क्या स्टोरी है?
So uski story hai that I always used to admire the bikers on the street, like with heavy bikes and all, and this is when I was a teenager.
ठीक है.
But like when I was growing up, there was no concept of women riding over here, and then my mother was never really comfortable, given that according to her, I have an impulsive streak. So she never thought that I could be trusted riding a bike.
ठीक है.
So couple of years back, after I had my daughter, my mother was traveling and I applied for a license. And then once I was about to clear the test, like I gave her a call and told her that look, I've gone for the bike license. And then I got the bike when she came back. So that's how it started. I waited for good couple of decades before actually.
And Harley was your first bike?
It was my first bike.
ओके. एंड लाइक वो कहते हैं ना कि मतलब एक नॉर्मल बाइक से शुरू करो फिर हार्ले पे स्विच करो.
Oh no, so this was like a 750 street rod.
Okay.
It's like not like a Fat Boy
ठीक है.
or one of the major 1200cc bikes. It's pretty manageable. My aspiration was to buy a Ducati, but given that in my mind I wanted to buy something that मैं पाकिस्तान ला सकूं और चला सकूं उसे, तो I ended up buying a Harley, given that the cruiser would be more suitable for the Pakistani terrain.
ठीक है.
But then when I showed it to Faizan, he noticed that it was made in India, and that's what was written on the number plate, and I was like, maybe just the number plate holder is made in India. Then we checked the chassis and it also said that sorry, but it is made in India, and that's when I realized that I can't bring it to Pakistan.
सही है.
So that's like my.
And अभी प्लान नहीं है पाकिस्तान में लेने का बाइक?
अभी प्लान है बस like I'm still like because I'm doing back and forth, like my family stays here and I'm still working in Dubai, like और जब भी season होता है so like I kind of am here and there, so I've not really gotten around to buying the bike here.
Okay, sounds fair. ठीक है. एंड मोरानो थी आपके पास सबसे पहले, which is a V6 3.5 liter 350Z वाला, उसके अंदर इंजन होता है. I had it a very long time back and yeah, that was a very nice,
beautifully comfortable car.
Yeah. Yes. Which Audi did you have before Murano?
A4.
A4 थी.
Yeah.
So transition was City to A4 and Murano.
Yes.
With the moving of country. ठीक है. And after Murano you went straight to Grand Cherokee?
Yes, I did.
ठीक है. Which you still have over there?
Which no. So now I don't. I sold it during the COVID time.
ठीक है.
Because I was moving the base to Karachi. I was working from home. So I sold the car over there. Now when I like go back on a longer term, then I'll buy another car.
ठीक है. And plan क्या है?
Plan यही है.
ब्रांच रोकी वापस?
Not that, but now I'll scope out and see.
सही है. Fair enough. And you said कि आप relate करते हो with an SUV, you relate more. What does that mean? Like how would you explain that to a layman person? कि गाड़ी में ऐसा क्या है कार में जो आप कहते हो यार ये मिसिंग है जिसकी वजह से you need a higher.
So what I realized even while driving the car in Dubai, like when I had the Jeep Cherokee, the way like the traffic kind of adapts to the car around you, like that's an actual reality, right?
Fair
and like once I switched the car to a rented car, once I sold the Jeep Cherokee, I came to the office and I was ranting to a friend of mine saying कि यार मैं वही driver हूँ since like decades and I feel people don't respect you on the road if you have a smaller car, they don't give you way and all, and she said like you're overreacting, right? And then she had the same experience driving the same car that I was driving.
Fair enough.
So like I feel it's more like in terms of size, like I feel it's more comfortable, it gives me the sense of security on the road.
Fair enough.
And in any case, like I don't prefer sleek things, so this kind of gels in with my preference.
So ये जो D-Max आपने लिया, इसका purchase decision क्या था? Like when you were looking for it, I'm sure there were other options as well.
बिल्कुल.
सही है ना? और I'm glad in a sense कि you went for a proper truck or an SUV rather than going for the new crossovers.
Yes.
जो बहुत सारे हैं. So what was your thought process? कि why did you go for D-Max instead of the other options, and what other options were you considering?
So basically, like once you have a flavor of Jeep Cherokee, the crossovers kind of seem like
Totally
not
agree.
really an option.
सही है.
And while I moved like here and we started scoping out the market, like my feel towards the market is that the cars are so overpriced, like they don't really justify in my mind. Like a Fortuner is like one of like an okay mid-tiered cars over there. True. While over here you pay like a kidney and a lung for it, so it doesn't really make sense, right? बिल्कुल exactly. मतलब 5-6 पूरे खानदान की आपको जमा करनी पड़ेंगी kidneys. So with this car, Faizan, I told him like after that, like what other option can we have? So we had Revo, which like I felt was a bit rigid in its drive. The turning radius is like really crazy. Also, the ride for the passenger is super uncomfortable. We have one in our family, so we have a constant comparison going on between how comfortable this car is versus that car. And then we test drove this car. So I liked the interior, I liked how it felt like while I was driving it. It was overall comfortable, so therefore we decided. And also it's like value for money. It's more affordable and economical than a Revo.
True. ठीक है. और so D-Max को shortlist कर लिया. This is the V-Cross top of the line वाला इसका variant. जी. Shortlist हो गया. Color के ऊपर आते हैं. Black color preference थी, since you were getting a pre-owned black.
So if I tell you, all my cars have always been black.
अच्छा.
Like with Faizan, he sometimes cribs कि यार ये क्या बात है, मुझे अगर एक white गाड़ी पसंद है, तो why can't I go for that? But I always tell him like black is black.
That's the color.
Really, yeah.
सही है.
So you can opt for any other color. Like white for me is when you can't decide on a color, so you go for like a blank canvas. But my option is always like a black car.
ठीक है. So black has always been the color. And you got a second-hand pre-owned vehicle, right?
बिल्कुल.
Condition को authenticate कैसे किया था लेते हुए? Or was that Faizan's decision, or were you?
That was predominantly Faizan's decision. I think he got in touch with somebody on Bamwheels, and then they when they met, they figured out that they know each other. They're like mutual acquaintances, and you know that kind of validated whatever they were saying.
Situation. सही है. And जो है इसका क्या उसे कहते हैं usage में, this is your primary vehicle. So what's your, on an average, what's your usage of this car?
So it would be around, I think, 50 to 60 kilometers
Per day?
Per day, yes.
Okay, that's decent. And fuel average इसकी क्या है?
Around, I think, 7 to 8 on average on normal running, and if you go on the highway, it's around 12ish.
ठीक है. And to maintain the car, do you guys get it done through your local mechanic or dealership?
There is a mechanic that all the cars go to. So for like थोड़े दिन पहले brake shoe change कराया, so we went to him. Otherwise, if there's like a major work which like actually makes a difference, then we use the dealership. But अभी तक ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ी है.
ठीक है. And जो आप brake shoes जैसे भी आपने कराए, तो what was the cost? Do you know that?
I think it was around 12,000. It wasn't that expensive.
So that's not expensive at all actually. ठीक है. And जो brake shoes की availability थी out of the dealership, वो भी easily available थे?
Yes. So the parts are easily available.
Parts are easily available. Now, what's the one thing, best thing about this car that you know, like, what's the best thing that you like in this car?
From my point of view, it's the, so while on the road, you would also, I don't know because you're a guy, whether you can sense it or not, with the cars maintain their distance. It's a lot more easier to drive. आपको राउंड अबाउट पे तमीज़ से लोग जिस तरह से होना होता है उन्हें वो उस तरह से डिग्निटी अपनी मेंटेन करते हैं. So that for me, I think, is the key. Given that the drive already is comfortable. Also, if I'm driving it late at night at around 12ish, I have a sense of safety. So for me, that's a big one. Yeah.
You know, let me just like add something to that. ये बंदों के साथ भी होता है. So I was telling you, I have this multiple cars जिसके अंदर मेरे पास पासो भी है और मेरे पास बड़ी गाड़ी भी है, सब कुछ उसके बीच में आता है, तो वो बंदों के साथ भी वो चीज़ होती है. एंड ये जो FJ40 है, दैट्स ए 83 मॉडल की लैंड क्रूजर. वो जब मैं चला रहा होता हूँ ना, तो सबसे ज़्यादा लोग मुझे उस पर दूर मुझसे हट रहे होते हैं. With the size of the car and the way the car is, वो लगता पता नहीं कौन आ रहा है, पता नहीं इसकी रुकेगी भी कि नहीं रुकेगी. तो
so like for me, I make it a point कि अगर कोई बंदा क्रॉस कर रहा हो या राइट ऑफ वे हो, तो I do that.
Of course,
just
of
so
course.
I understand कि एक stigma attached है with Hilux, Revo, and exactly. Dmax के बदतमीज लोग हैं, ये रुकेंगे नहीं, या you know, they think they own the road. So I try in my capacity to break that.
So what is the one thing that you don't like in this car?
The fact that it doesn't have a boot. So like I know that there are different options of having like a cover and all, which we're going for probably soon. But that is one thing that I miss. Other than that, like I like the car.
Yeah. And if you could exchange one thing in this car, what would that be?
Cruise control.
Cruise control इसमें नहीं है?
नहीं. इसमें this is just like a.
है तो.
नहीं है.
Doesn't work.
It's just like a facade, like a covering.
Okay.
But it doesn't work.
Okay. Strange. So you would like to have, but like, do you drive it on the highways that much that you would need a cruise control, because local cruise control is not used locally?
Like I'm used to it, so that's why like I miss it.
सही है. But even if you have it, कराची में कहाँ use करोगे? Preference है, ठीक है. और उसके against में, what is the one thing that you would give up?
I wouldn't give up anything. Like there's nothing that I dislike about the car.
ठीक है. And if you could go back in time when you were getting the car, so are you happy with the purchase decision, or do you think यार उस वक्त कुछ और ले लेते तो शायद ज़्यादा बेहतर हो जाता?
No, I'm happy.
ठीक है.
I feel like it's a perfect match.
ठीक है. And मुझे ये बताओ कि transitioning from an SUV to a pickup truck, how much of a difference was that? SUVs are considered कि यार compared to a pickup truck, they are more comfortable. That's the perception. So how would you rate the comfort of the two? कितना उस पे कितना डाउन है, कंसिडरिंग कि दिस इज़ मच मोर कंफर्टेबल कंपेयर टू द टोयोटा
Yeah.
का जो इसका काउंटर पार्ट है उसके मुकाबले में दिस इज़ मच मोर कंफर्टेबल, कितना उसके अंदर, बट यू वुड से कि यार एसयूवी कितनी कंफर्टेबल थी कंपेयर टू दिस?
I don't feel like between that and this there's that much obviously
ठीक है.
between the finishing of the car and the look
We
and
just want to know the
feel,
comfort,
which is
हाँ.
no, not that much difference.
Not that
Like,
much
I
of a
don't
difference.
literally I don't miss it that much.
ठीक है. एंड इस गाड़ी को स्टैंड अलोन पे अगर देखो तो ऑन द स्केल ऑफ 1 to 10 ये कितनी कंफर्टेबल कहोगे इसको आप?
I would say around 8 or 9.
ठीक है. And you converted your husband on SUV like this pickup truck. So then like I spoke to him earlier and he told me the answer, but for the viewers, do you think he is also happy switching or he misses
He
the
is.
sedan?
He is, no. So like he constantly says like the kind of comfort and the kind of kick that he gets while driving this car is way different than a sedan, also given his size. Like I feel that he's well suited in this car. He's like a very super passive, non-aggressive person. But it's like I feel like, you know, his personality gels in well with the car as well, and he's pretty hooked on.
ठीक है. And any plans of selling this one in the near future? And if yes, then what would be the next car after this?
So no plans of selling it in the near future. For me, like I believe in taking care of the cars. And unless Faizan won't tell me that it makes like after 5 years or 7 years that it makes financial sense and all, like I believe you keep the car that you get and you get a car that you kind of, you know, believe in.
ठीक है.
But I really like the F-150 Raptor. Like I saw it at a gas station over here and it was beautiful. So that's something that, you know, I can probably relate to, but like I'm more than happy with this.
चलो, sounds good. So viewers, ये था आयशा के साथ एक मज़े का सेशन जिसके अंदर हम लोगों ने बात की इनके ओनरशिप एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ पाकिस्तान. एंड थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर टाइम आयशा.
थैंक यू फॉर हैविंग मी.
कमेंट्स में ज़रूर बताइएगा कैसा लगा. अपना और अपने घर वालों का ख्याल रखिएगा. अगली दफ़ा तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.
अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.